afternoon, everybody. Scott Fisher with Senior Resource Connectors here once again. Welcome back to season 3. We are deep in season 3, meeting with and discussing the issues that impact families that are walking the journey with a loved one who is aging, and their aging journey is likely causing some strain, some stress, distress on the family system. And for those of you that find yourself in that position, we welcome you here. And this is a place to get answers, to get information, to get support, to get plugged in to people that can help you walk through that part of life. And so today is no different. We're going to meet my good buddy, Mindy Hansen. Hey, Mindy.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Mindy's the owner of M&M Mobile Notary. And Mindy and I have known each other a couple of years. And so she's been part of the Connectors Coalition for the last few years, helping us spread the word and meet families and offer them aid and assistance when they're in the middle of some pretty challenging moments. And so Mindy's going to talk a little bit about that today. So Mindy, how the heck are you today? Good to see you.
I am fabulous. Thank you, Scott. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. Always good when I get to talk to you. We have known each other since, we'll just go back to the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that? I know.
We're not that old.
It's not, I know for sure. But it didn't surprise me when our worlds started to reconnect, a number of years ago as your world was migrating into these spaces. I've been working with families for a number of years in these spaces. And so it's really a pleasure to reconnect and spend more time together after all this time. Tell everybody what M&M Mobile Notary is and what do you do? How do you do it? Why do you do what you do? I know you've got a lot to say on all that.
I do. Well, M&M Mobile Notary, obviously I'm a mobile notary, and I go to people to help them get their documents in order, because sometimes people just can't get out, or it's really difficult for them to get out to be able to do those types of things. When I first started, it was all with mortgages. And I realized pretty quickly that there was a very big need for good notaries in our senior industry. Because to be honest with you, Scott, in Arizona, you can become a notary for $40. They don't background check us. They don't make sure that we know what the laws are. They don't test us. They don't train us. They don't do anything. And when you do mortgages, you actually get additional training from the National Notary Association. But on top of that, you get background checked annually. And I feel like when we're working with seniors, you definitely want to have somebody who's background checked, because you want a safe person going into work with your seniors, because they can be so vulnerable all the time.
Amen to that.
And as the time's gone on, because it's been almost 9 years now that I've been doing this, it just became my mission to really make sure that notaries who are going into work with seniors are at a much higher level, as opposed to the $40 notary that you get when you go into the UPS store, or when you go into the bank. They don't even cover up your information. There's cameras all over the place. Everybody has a camera in their hand at all times. People's books are wide open with their notary books.
Yeah.
I walked into the notary or the UPS store a while back, and the notary was doing a notarization in the middle of the store on one of those desk things they have there, those counter things they have. And her book was wide open. She was towards the bottom of the page where she was putting in information. So all the information for all of those people who have been in prior to that particular client was just open for anybody to be able to take pictures. And so I think that people need to realize they really want to work with a notary who is more conscientious about those things. We do have privacy guards we're supposed to be using, and I'll bet you've probably never seen anybody use a privacy guard, have you? When you've gone in to have something notarized.
No, probably not.
Most notaries don't.
You're addressing something that we've done other episodes on, and I'm glad you started right here. There are so many industries that serve families in this aging spaces, aging vertical, moving companies, move managers, placement, home care, notaries, all of us, home care companies and aging life care managers. we at Connectors understand that those are unregulated, unlicensed industries. And so we partner with people who will only represent their national trade associations, their state trade associations, their best practice groups. You won't find companies that aren't parts of those here. We have the founding member of the Arizona In-Home Care Association here at Connectors, the founding member of PASSER, one of the founding members of the Moving Association, and on and on, and now yourself as well. And so families just don't know what they don't know when someone shows up as a professional, and you could have anybody in front of you. And I don't mean to create, oh, Chicken Little, the sky's falling, but you know what? Buyer beware, right?
Well, and that's exactly right. And then, because it is so important to me, I've actually become dementia trained and dementia certified because I work with a lot of seniors. And there can be cognitive decline, and even young people sometimes have those cognitive issues. And because I've taken the time to be trained in those and certified in dementia, it really makes it, I feel like it's more safe for the client to have their documents notarized by somebody who knows what they're doing.
Right.
And actually cares about what's going on.
Right.
And because there are notaries out there, unfortunately, who will notarize documents for people who don't have any clue what they're signing. And it is the law that we are supposed to make sure that they comprehend what they're actually signing. So that's extremely important to me because our seniors are way too vulnerable for that.
So as this thing has evolved for you past mortgages, now you're getting into powers of attorney, trust documents, all kinds of things, aren't you? Where that really becomes an
all
issue,
kinds
right?
of things. It really, really does. Because there's a different competency for somebody signing a will versus somebody signing medical documents. And so I've gotten training on that from attorneys as well to be able to know, if I go in to have a will signed for an attorney or a trust signed, there are different things I need to look for that client to make sure that they are competent in signing those documents.
So is there now an association?
The attorney does their part, but it's really at that signing table that makes a difference.
Right. Is there now an association of you around town, or a light organization that at least you're networked with those people like you who take what you're saying seriously and have been certified and receive that extra training?
There's the certified trust delivery agent, which came out about a year ago, just over a year ago. And I made sure I got my certification on that. That's the first time that was ever even offered.
Okay.
So yes, definitely. So we understand the documents. We know what we're looking for. I also helped to teach not only other notaries, but attorneys and other people who are signing contracts at a table with a senior on what to look for to make sure that somebody understands what they're signing. So I actually help teach that particular class to make sure that people are understanding those concepts with our seniors, because they might be capable of signing documents in the morning, but they may not be in the afternoon. So it's very important to understand when they're signing documents, if they really understand what they're doing.
You hear about these situations where a senior who may have begin experiencing cognitive loss, right, gets a whim on a Tuesday afternoon and goes in and buys a $60,000 Cadillac and signs away. Right. Is there a role for you to teach, train people that are in those positions, real estate, large transactions like a boat or an automobile, luxury automobile, where what you just said totally applies? That, I mean, they're assuming someone's competent in front of them making that decision, or not impaired anyways, but that could be really dicey, right?
It can be very dicey, and that's why I've joined forces with a woman here in the Phoenix area who trains dementia caregivers. And so we've partnered to be able to understand, for her to explain dementia to people, but then I make it look, I make people look at it and see what it looks like at the table, because it can look very different. You can have people that are just totally agreeable on everything. They'll say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And you think they're competent, they sound like they're okay, but they say yes to everything. But if you ask them the same question with a different, person in there, or a different, say you're talking about the $62,000 vehicle, a different vehicle in there, they'll say yes to both of them. And
Yeah.
at that point, we're not
Yeah.
dealing with somebody
Yeah.
who's actually
Yeah.
competent. So there
For
are
sure.
things to look for in that. So yeah.
Wow.
So that's a passion of mine. And the day you turn 18, honestly, you should have power of attorney documents in order. Most people don't realize that, and especially seniors, they think that if they're going to sign power of attorney documents, they're giving up all their power, and that is not the truth.
Right.
And
Right.
it's literally the day you turn 18, you need to have power of attorney documents in order.
Yeah.
I've been called into situations where 18-year-olds have had car accidents or motorcycle accidents. Now, mom and dad are just trying to get the vehicle out of impound, but the car is only in the 18-year-old's name. Mom and dad can't do anything. And if that person's in a coma or cognitively damaged somehow, they can't sign those documents. And now that forces the family into getting conservatorship and guardianship, which is $10,000 or more, right?
On the light
So to
side,
be able to
on
get,
the very light side.
oh yeah, just to be able to get those things in place. So the seniors, we need to update those documents every 3 to 5 years, or at least have them looked at. So seniors actually start to recognize, when they understand an 18-year-old gets into these situations too, how important it is for them and their families to have these documents in order.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a heartbreak, because I have to say no a lot of times because the person is not cognitive enough to know what they're actually signing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've even gone in and done just a couple of weeks ago, an attorney, they were doing some amendments to a trust and updating the power of attorney documents. And she had spoken with the woman via Zoom prior to be able to draw up the documents. But when I got there, and I went back twice, and she was never capable of actually signing those documents. So we were not able to work with that. And unfortunately, the power of attorney documents that she did have in place were way too old. They were about 15 years old. And her son wasn't able to use those documents, even though he was named. The banks were saying, nope, we're not taking that. And so now they were having to deal with conservatorship and guardianship. So it's really about at the time of signing. So we really need to be cognitive about how important it is, even as a young person, because you and I are so young still, but as a young person, how important, how important these documents are to have in place and to keep them updated. So
I can think of 3 families I'm currently seeing in the last 30 days that this is the deal. And I'm going out to see a fella probably on Thursday who is also completely, he has no blood relatives in the world. He has 2 stepsons that are already probably in his pockets for stuff. And we're going to go out and talk to him about getting him assisted living. But even on the bigger picture, we need to get a trusted somebody in there to be his and if he's aware enough, a little hard of hearing, where he can assign a personal representative and powers of attorney, like he still execute this, so he doesn't have to, they don't have to go to guardian court to do this. But 2 other cases I'm involved right now, the family had to go in and get guardianship over a parent, and you got sibs fighting, you got stuff going on in these families, and it could have all been dealt
and
with
now the
long
court
before.
decides who's
Now
going
the
to be the one,
right,
and the court doesn't always know
right,
who's going to be the better person
correct,
to take care
correct.
of that senior. So it's so important for the senior to make that decision when they are actually cognitive enough to do it.
Well, in this one case, you got 2 sides, 2 sets of kids fighting. The son got the guardianship, the daughter lost, right? Lost. Mom has a representative. Now the court assigns mom, court appointed attorney, to cover her best interests in these matters. And so now that the boys, the sons have control of the situation, they're not moving yet, that we think, fast enough to get her the care she needed, which is why they took the sister to court. And now I think her attorney is going to have something that mom's attorney is going to have something to say. Because mom's laying there not able to speak for herself, and these guys took control of the situation, but they've left her laying at home unable to speak for herself. And you know, it could be construed that they're not spending the money, right? I mean,
Right.
money is a motivator. And if the kids are slow playing this, whatever, you never know what people's
Mhm.
motives are. But we see that you and I are in this stuff all the time. What
All
do
the
you,
time.
what, what's your, besides get it done early, do you have some other words of wisdom for us about where some of the trap doors are at, or where the trouble spots are that you can help families avoid problems, and how you can work
I
them
think
through?
one of the big ones, I do believe that one of the big ones is in Arizona, we have to have a medical power of attorney and a mental health power of attorney.
Right.
They're two separate documents. They can be set up by an attorney to be as a separate section. The person actually has to initial in that section though for yes or no to being able to be committed to a psychiatric program should that a behavioral issue come up. And when we're talking about dementia and that or strokes, those kinds of things can happen. And
Yep.
if the family doesn't have that portion in place, they might have the medical document in place, medical power of attorney, but if they don't make sure that mental health power of attorney or the section in the medical part is in there, then it will become a huge issue and almost make that medical power of attorney null and void, where they have to go after guardianship. And I see that regularly. And it's heartbreaking to watch what the families believe they have the right document in place.
Yep.
And then it turns out that they don't have the extended part. And sometimes it's because the documents were done before that law went into effect. Well, the law has changed. And if you're having your documents looked at every 5 years, an attorney that by now to say, hey,
Yep.
we need to fix this. If the attorney is actually doing that, because sometimes I've actually seen the attorneys not
They've not
doing it.
included it. Mindy, there's an
Yeah, they've
awful
not
lot of
included it.
here.
Yeah,
One of the families I'm talking about that it just was in the middle of this, but here his situation was he moved from Arizona from California, so he
out
had
of
medical
state.
and financial powers expressed. He had one doing one son doing another, his daughter doing the other, but the mental health was never covered. When he moved here to the assisted
Right.
living he was in, the assisted living center never advised the family and said, hey, you're missing a document that may be a problem. So when he did need a psychiatric hospitalization, that dementia got out of hand. He was having some combative, agitated behavior. They tried to hospitalize him. Boom! Now they're in guardian's court because by law they have to have
Exactly
a
right.
guardian. Yeah, and that's exactly
They're doing
so.
all the
If you
guardianship
are,
and the conservatorship.
word of warning: if you're moving a loved one to Arizona and they coming from another
Yeah,
state,
get that.
get the mental
And
health powers done.
people often ask, when I'm at the table and we're doing these documents, they'll ask, well, why do I have to have that? I didn't have to have that in California. I didn't have to have that in
Right.
Illinois or wherever they're coming from. And I always let them know it's the way they change the laws for that. But I really think it's because we have such a huge number of seniors here. And so therefore, I think our legislatures are trying to protect our seniors to
And there was
make
a lot.
sure that
Yeah, and I was in the mental health business for years, and there was a lot of movement, um, improve the outcomes for that, and to protect people from being hospitalized for years and years on end without against their will. And so they changed the laws down at the state hospital. I mean, there's been a lot of evolution of mental health law in the state of Arizona. This was part of that as well,
right,
because you can't do this to someone who is schizophrenic either, right? Just because they're
right.
hallucinating,
That's what they say. Right.
it protects all of us this way, but this is how it
It
plays out in the
protects all
world.
of us.
Right. Right.
Exactly. And
Well,
there are really four major documents they need to have. They need to have their financial power, durable power of attorney.
okay.
They need to have their medical durable power of attorney, their mental health durable power of attorney, and their living will in place.
Yeah.
And we are blessed in the state of Arizona where you can get those. They're limited documents, but you can get those from the state of Arizona, those particular four documents.
Right.
Not all states, I don't think, offer that, but in Arizona, they do. It's best to get them from attorney because the attorneys have a lot more flexibility to work within that document if you want more than one person or two people named and how you have them named if they're joint or if they're this one first, and then this one. If this number one can't do it, then number two can. So there are real advantages to having the attorneys do it. But if you can't get that part done, at the bare minimum, people need to have the ones from the state in place.
Yeah, and we would tell you that you can go to the azag.gov, the Attorney General's website. There's a life planning packet there. Just that the Secretary of State's office has something on there. Yeah. So those are executable.
Secretary of State's office doesn't list it there anymore. It's only on the AG's office. But if you want the financial one, you have to go to the Maricopa Superior Court to get the financial general verbal power of attorney.
Thank you.
So there's actually two places that you go.
You have to go. Okay, gotcha. Thanks for making that point. Hey, before we get out of here, I have another question for you. And is there, I guess I want to just know, is there any other trends you're seeing as our community is aging, families are in need? Is there any other trends that you're detecting that you are waving your arms, going, hey, be careful, this is an issue, this could be a problem? So anything else you want to bring up?
Well, I think that when I go into a lot of these situations, they're in the hospital or they're in rehab, they're someplace, and now they're trying to figure out what to do. So I love being able to give people senior resource connectors, because they're just barely starting on this journey, and people don't know what they don't know. And so I really try to direct them, because there's going to be so many questions come up and so many scenarios come up where they're going to need extra help, whether it's in-home care, whether it's an attorney, whether it's a notary, whether it's just your medical equipment. All of these things happen. And with senior resource connectors, I know that everybody there is vetted and background checked. So and so I think that that's the big story, is most people don't have any idea where to turn, and they're freaking out. And I get to, unfortunately, I get to see that. And so I really try to direct them and help them to understand how important it is to have an organization like Senior Resource Connectors, because all the companies and the people are vetted and background checked. Because there are too many players out there who just don't care. And that includes notaries. And they're in it for the money, and they don't care about what's going on with the person or the family.
There are other quasi organizations that are registries or Angie's List of companies, or no one is here unless they've been invited. No one is here unless we vetted them personally. You cannot go to our website as a potential partner and sign up to be a part of us. You have to come, you have to be known by us. We have to know you and your business. And so that's super important to Stacy, myself, and the rest of us that are within this group. We are small with intention, right? We grow with intention because of that issue. Well, thanks for making that point. I really appreciate it. How do people get a hold of you? Where do people find you, Mindy?
Well, they can go to my website at www.mmmobilenotary.com. And then they can, my phone number's on there. They can actually call me. That's usually because I'm on the road a lot. So calling me or texting me is the best way usually to reach me. They can also send me an email at mindy@mmmobilenotary.com.
And Mindy's listing is on
all of those things.
Mindy's listing is on our website as well at seniorresourceconnectors.com. I can't say thank you enough. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the
thank you, Scott.
the valiant energy you put into so many things. You are a protector and a friend to a lot of people who have gotten the short end of the stick, and you do a lot for the world. So I love you. I appreciate you. Grateful for you. Scott. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, if you need to get any questions answered, you have family members that are challenging, you're feeling overwhelmed or challenged by what's going on in a loved one's world, we are here for you. So reach out to us. Our contact information is going to be listed here. Again, on behalf of all of our coalition members, we are grateful that you take a few minutes each week and join us, and thank you for being here. So with that being said, we'll get out of here. We'll see you next time. Take care.